Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel. It's 8:05 a.m. It is July 23rd. Now, of course, this market never ceases to amaze. It made you look like we were going to break out yesterday. And we're down. Okay, we're gapping down. All right, Google and Tesla reported earnings. Basically, Tesla's negative cash flow, Google's CapEx spending. Market doesn't like it. Okay, crude is over $90 a barrel. A barrel. Okay, so that cool CPI thing. If this keeps climbing, we're not going to have cooler CPI, right? 10-year yield is rising and the market's nuts, okay? Now, after that, Google's earnings, Micron, Intel, are getting some love, okay? SK Hynix, the Kospi, South Korean market didn't do bad, okay? So a bunch of mixed messages, okay? That's basically this market. I keep talking about the high dispersion. It is really crazy. Okay, because now, like I'm gonna keep saying, these memory stocks are a big part of the how the market moves. Okay, yesterday the Mag 7, okay, minus Nvidia, all right, we're down, and the market went up because of semis. Okay, the Microns, the Intels, SanDisks. It's now another layer. It's another layer. Okay. Now, as far as myself yesterday, very, very frustrating day for myself. Okay. Now, a little thing that I do every day, and people could, who listen to me live, would verify this if they're on here or not, is that a lot of times early on I see setups that I'm like, and I'm like, these are mouse clicking almost trades, and boy, am I hitting a lot of those. That happened yesterday. That happened the day before yesterday. Okay. So on Tuesday, I wanted to go long. It would have almost stopped me, but it would have hit my target. Yesterday, I was on live with a couple of community members, a couple of good friends, and I was saying this market's gonna pop. This market's gonna pop, but I was short bias. I was like, this market's gonna pop, and I was talking to one of my friends. He had to go, and I was like, right here. And as I'm saying this, inside my head, I'm saying to myself, so why don't I go long then? Because technology was ripping. Mag 7 was weak, but technology was ripping. We just came up to ultimate balance, reject it. Now we're at the lows. And I'm like, this is probably a good long here. But I was so tunnel visioned on shorts that I wanted my retest to short. Because at the time, market wasn't like strong, but the tech was. And that's just a rule of mine I usually have. You do not short, you find a way to go long when tech is that strong. And it was super strong. Then I watched it rip up, come to my level, and I shorted, and then I got stopped. And I was just like, I just was so tunnel vision on that short. And I also know why I got in that, because I had a short last week that I got a break even on that really ripped lower after that break even. And I was like, oh, this is like that. That was also in my head. Oh, you shorted early and it came back, and that was the real short. I think that's also why I was like, I'm not missing this one. And it wasn't stupid. Nasdaq had heavy supply. It wasn't unfounded. It wasn't the easier trade. That's the point. Right? When tech's that strong, you're going to get a chance to go long. And it gave it to you. Right? And then what happened? The market couldn't go higher because of the disconnect in the markets. It wound up coming lower. All right. And on top of that, salt to the wounds, I was in a Qualcomm options trade that some of my community members know about. Now, Qualcomm, I put on basically a credit spread. It's a broken wing butterfly, but it's a ratio spread, but a broken wing butterfly. Doesn't matter. For credit, that Qualcomm will not go below 155 by this Friday. Okay? And then on top of that, I financed that to buy a couple bull call spreads in Qualcomm. Now, the other day, Qualcomm, I don't know if anybody watches it, pre-market it could be up, and by literally by the open, gave back all those gains. So I'm sitting there going like this. All right, I already had profit in that credit collection spread, and I was like, this bull call spread's not doing anything. So I'm like, you know what? Let me play defense. This Qualcomm's a little wild. And yesterday, with that strength, Qualcomm ripped up. Ripped up. I think it went to 176 or something like that at one point. And I was out of it. And I was like, great. Because I could have closed that spread for a nice profit. Everything. So that was just trading. One trade. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Okay. So I like to share those things with you guys because that's just trading. You know what I mean? One decision that I was telling this is a long, and I was not just saying, this could be a long. I was like really saying, oh, look at Mag 7's weak, but they're bottoming out and semis are strong. We're going to pop here. Now, did I know how far it would go? No. But it was easier trade than the short. It was. It was an easier trade. It was probably worth the risk. And that, I remember, I tracked these with my AI, my AI assistant in my Discord. I track them. I track all my past trades, and boy, and they're not, just to be clarification on that, they are not like thoughts. This could be a long. Like, don't get me wrong, I do that too, and then it works. That's no, 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 no. It's like this is happening, and that's happening, and then this should bounce here because of this. These are mouse clicking near trades, and I'm hitting a lot of them. I mean, it's astounding. I'm gonna be honest with you. My past setup, like I call them past setups, like I passed them up. It's astounding how many of those I've been hitting, and they come early. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of early trading, but man, the stats are undeniable right now for myself, and I need to start putting risk on, right? I really do. Now, don't get me wrong. Are everything firing off like this is the trade of the century? No, but it's like the easier trade. It's worth the risk, right? So that's it for that. This market's nuts. Today we have Intel earnings after the close. I forgot to put that on my YouTube card. Intel earnings after the close. Okay, let's get into this without my little diatribe there. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile, volume profile to find structure of the markets. Along supply and demand, GAM exposure was the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. It's where I come up with my game plans. Now, once that market opens up, I use my market internals to see where money flows are going off the open, along with Anchor VWAPs, a little ICT, my weekly expected move indicator for Thinkorswim that I give away for free on my Discord, along with the Gamma Flip points I give away for free on my Discord. Wrap all that up, and that's my own proprietary trading system. Okay. Now, hopefully you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert, give you the market news, economic calendar, leaders and laggards, technical analysis, and I always give you the long and short trade scenarios and the ES and NASDAQ features later on in the stream. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Let's get right into the futures watch list here. The VIX, okay, is up 9.74%. We're at 18.28 VIX. Crude, like I said, almost at $91 a barrel as I'm speaking, up 4.76. Okay, this is from Yemen and the Houthis hitting Saudi's oil tankers or something like that, causing supply shortages. Okay. 10-year yield's up 1%. Dollar is up 0.15. Ethereum up 0.08. 30-year bonds are being sold, almost down 0.5%. Russell down 0.58. ES down 0.59. Dow's down 0.70. Bitcoin down 0.69. Nasdaq's down 0.85. Gold down 1.67. And silver down 2.60%. Let's go to the Mag 7 here. We got Micron leading the dance, up 1.26. Intel up 0.5%. Okay. Got Netflix up. All right. Who's lagging? Meta down 1.78. Amazon down 2.14%. Google down almost 5%. And Tesla is your laggard, down 7%. Okay, down 7%. Now, top sector stocks. Exxon is up 1.65%. Chevron up 1.46%. Palantir up 1.27%. Some software getting some love. ServiceNow had earnings. They're up. Okay. Laggard. Let's see here. Goldman Sachs down 0.47. Walmart down 0.5%. Qualcomm down 0.72. Boeing down 0.79. And the mining stock NEM, they're reporting earnings soon, down 1.31%. Real quick, we'll go to the granular list here. Let's just see who's getting low. Lockheed Martin, okay. ServiceNow up 5%. Raytheon up 4.68. Reddit up 3.36. All right. Laggard. T-Mobile down 4.42%. American Airlines down 4.19%. Norwegian Cruise Lines down 3%. Texas Instruments also reported earnings down 3.5%. Okay. Moving on. Sectors. Energy is your big winner, up 1.60%. Okay, who's down? Semiconductors are down 0.88. That's a mixed bag today. You got some semis down, some semis up, right? Some memory stocks up. Intel, I saw an AMD just sign something with China. So communications down 1.14. That's your Google. That's your Meta. It's actually your T-Mobile. All right. Now, discretionary. That's your Tesla, your Amazon. They're both down. Okay. They're both down. So let's go to the economic calendar. Economic calendar every day this week has been light. Chicago Fed initial jobless claims today, they mean nothing to these markets. Okay. And the one star, there's nothing there. Okay. There's nothing there. Okay. Let's look at Trump's schedule. Today, whoa. So 11 a.m. press briefing by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt at 11 a.m. That's earlier than she usually does that. President makes an announcement on the ratepayer protection pledge at 2:30. Okay. Yeah, let's see if he talks there. Now, Leavitt doesn't usually move markets. Let's look at here. This is what I talked about the Houthis. Trump on Iran, Houthis, if they do this again, there will be punishment. Says Trump on Truth Social, U.S. will hold Iran responsible for Houthis attacks. Remember I said the Houthis attacked the Saudi oil tankers. Now, stock edges lower on Friday as concerns over raising AI spending outweighed an otherwise solid earnings report from Alphabet, with higher oil prices added to inflation worries. Okay? Now, as far as earnings, we had some notables today. Okay? After the close, Tesla, Alphabet, ServiceNow, IBM actually didn't have the best earnings as well. Okay, now this morning, Nokia, Cleveland Cliffs, American Airlines, Freeport McMoran, okay, who else? All right, Lockheed Martin all reported. Now today, after the close, Intel, Newmont, Boyd, that's really it. Okay, Ring Central, all right. And then tomorrow morning before the open, Verizon, Charter Communications, American Express, NextEra Energy. All right. Now, as far as some news here, basically the story is Google increased CapEx. Tesla basically had negative cash flow. That's where they're down. And if AMD and Intel, the U.S. chip making giants, are signing long-term purchase commitments with Chinese server customers for data center processors. Okay, so that's positive for them. And Alphabet got a price target cut to 395 from 445. G Vernova got a price target raise. All right, that's what's going on there. We're going to move on to the market internals. Recap. All right. Clearly, you can see technology was up 1.18%. Market can't go down if that is up. Okay. Look at the rest of the market, though. Was not strong. It was not strong. So when I was interested in a short, and what roped me in a little bit was I was interested up here. And then it just dropped. It really didn't give you a chance to really get in there. I would have had to get in there, right? And then down here, it was just bottoming. And I kept saying, see these internals? They're not weak. That's another thing. I was like, hey, these are not weak. And tech was really strong, especially semis. And look what happened. Just exploded. Boom. And then what happened was NASDAQ was in heavy supply. Hence one of the reasons why I got short ES. And then it finally just rolled over and took all these internals back. So, and now, based on balance and all that stuff is why I got short as well, right? So um, technically in like what I was looking at, I was like, this should roll over. Now it's doing that. So technically I was right, but it doesn't mean, and the day trade, it's all about being right in the next like 5 to 10 minutes sometimes. And that's why the easier trade was the long. Okay. Overall, there was a short, but that was not an easy short. It was ugly. Okay. It was ugly. Okay. Let's get into daily charts now. All right. So a whole lot of nothing. Now, what you did have is you swept these 2 days right here, right? And you have an inverse hammer candle. Where does that put us? 742.50. Poof. Big gap down. We're actually underneath last week's close. Are we headed for 740s? It's looking like that. Okay, it's looking like that. So big gap down right now. Big gap down. 74, 73s are going to be in futures. Very, very interesting to see. Let's look at those. You're going to see that big level here. Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. That level's going to get hit. I'd be shocked if 74, 73 does not get hit. Shocked. And look, you have a nice swing high here from yesterday. Okay? Nice swing high. All right, so to me, this just looks like we're going to at least hit these levels. I mean, that is begging to get tapped. Now, does he get follow through? I don't know. I don't know. Knowing this market, knowing this market and other earnings coming, to me, it probably looks like we won't get follow through and you'll get a bounce. But what do I know? I can't tell the future, but that I just can't see us just falling out of bed here. Now, like I said, that's how we just been trading. You don't get follow through in this market. You just don't get it because some pocket of the market is strong and another pocket is weak, and then the market fights itself. Okay, let's look at Qs. All right, so the Qs. See where it came up? It couldn't even touch the previous day's highs. Inverse hammer as well, right? This sucker is at 698.30s. We're all the way down here, gapping down big time. We're not below last week's close. It's quite a gap, and we're falling as we speak. Now, the big level, do we go all the way down to 686? This is getting pretty ugly, okay? And what's making it worse, Tesla, Google, Amazon, Meta, Nvidia, all down, okay? Pretty nuts. This oil is not helping. I'm telling you, remember I said over $90 a barrel, the market's going to start paying attention to it. Okay. All right. Now, futures. Nasdaq's back under 1%. Here's that level. Now, there's an immediate level here. That's at the 287s, right? I think that level probably has, it's a direct target at 287. Below that is the last month's lows, 285s. Below that is 284 and change, last week's lows. Okay. This is, if you look at this chart, it's kind of looking like a descending triangle, right? With support around here, right? Now, like I said, earnings. July is usually not very bearish. Okay. It's not. It's not super bullish, but it's generally not. You usually get more bearish in August, September, October. Then set you up for the Santa Claus rally. Okay. Let's look at breadth real quick. Now, breadth yesterday, still middling. 62% of stocks above the 50-day moving average. That is very middling. That just tells us, that just tells you what the market is doing. Okay, nothing much, of anything. Now, this is a pretty big move. I just said that none of these stocks, none of the indices are getting follow through. If we do sell off, it's like bought up. If we do push up, it's sold, right? That's what's going on. So, like, that's where we're trained right now, right? Because right now, if you concentrate on price action, you're like, oh my God, we're going to crash. You can't overreact. You can't. So this is hourly charts now. All right, let's look at this together. Now, this is where my analysis from yesterday, right, can be right. I said it's this range or this range. And what yesterday it did was, we see this hourly candle, right? This is where we opened, came up here, hit that month-to-date anchored view up, came all the way here, and then I got in on a short, like pulling back, because there, the whole market wasn't exactly strong here. And I was like, I think where I got stopped, I think there was only like 5 points left to the high day, and that's where I got stopped. Like maybe I got stopped here, and then look what happens. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? That's what's just like, technically, I'm just like, hey, I know we got to find acceptance above this level, the ultimate balance level. And look, now you're push away from it, and there's a nice move. Okay. So again, the 74.73s is last week's lows. That level is going to get hit. And you have stacked demand there. Okay. Does it get follow through? That is a very good question. Okay. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a trend line here. Let's like zoom out. Let's look at that trend. That's a pretty good trend line. And it lines up right with 74.73. So, and those trend lines are elastic. It's not like they go to the tick. But this, I would be shocked if we don't hit 74.73 and maybe 74.68. I would pretty much be shocked. So we'll have to see. You are in demand, but to me, this is like, you're seeking this level. Okay. I mean, it's as plain as day. Now, look, we're moving away from ultimate balance. Remember, big moves happen from ultimate balance. Okay, that's why this move is getting so exaggerated. And also, you had longs fail up here, right? So all these longs from here, from here, from here are all now underwater. Let's look at the NASDAQ together. Now, NASDAQ doesn't have that perfect balance area, okay? Doesn't have that. But we had poor structure here that we already took care of. Now there's demand. But you have the 287s level. Again, I would be pretty shocked if we don't hit the 287. I would be pretty shocked. Okay. Now, where we have ultimate balance now in both markets. So that 293, now what was weird yesterday, okay, is I thought because tech was so strong that the ES was the better short. It actually was the better short in the NASDAQ because you came into heavy supply. And I was saying this, ooh, there's heavy supply here. But tech was so strong, but it was weird because tech was strong, but the ES was getting the higher move. It broke the previous day's highs. Look, this just broke the overnight highs by a tick or two. Couldn't do anything, and then it rolled over. Okay? Ultimate balance. Big moves happen from ultimate balance. The farther we get away from this, right? Now, if we get a day where memory and semis and Mag 7 are down, we're going to roll lower. But every day, there's this mixed bag, right? You don't get a full out all semi sell off. It's like memory stocks are getting a bid, and the semiconductors, okay, the other semis that are not memory are getting sold off, or vice versa. It's always something, or software is being sold. That every day software goes up and down. It's sold off in the pre-market, then it gets bought, or vice versa. So this 287, I think you got a straight shot for it. Okay. Now let's move on to the market profile, volume profile. Boy, oh boy, that's quite the session. Whew. Boy, oh boy, that is quite the session. So this is your market profile and volume profile. This is quite the session. You just engulfed 2 sessions and about to do a third with this one session overnight. Oh boy. The session is not here. Yesterday's session is not there. All right, give me 1 second here. That's annoying. So what I'm going to do, I'll do the NASDAQ first while I just fix that. Just give me 1 second. Let me just fix this, okay? ES is definitely easier to do the data than the NASDAQ. NASDAQ has so many tick data. So once this loads up, I'm going to switch to the NASDAQ. Hopefully the NASDAQ I don't have to do that with because then that takes longer. Once this loads up. All right, let me see if the NASDAQ's cool. Yes, it is. So we'll do NASDAQ first today while that loads. All right, here's NASDAQ. All right. Now, okay. So ultimate balance now is 293, right? That level is very important. The market couldn't make it over that level yesterday. So if you couldn't make it over it once, twice, 3 times, try it again in the overnight, you're falling. Okay, you're falling. Big gap down. So let's get right into the long and short trade scenarios in NASDAQ. Okay. And first, we always, when you have a big gap down, you mark off the gap fill. That's your 29088s. Look at that. It lines up with the overnight VPOC. That's very interesting. Okay. Then you have to do the midpoint, the 50% retracement of the overnight. That's 29055. They kind of are very close to each other. Okay. So that's levels we mark off. Big gaps are never easy to trade. I say this ad nauseum because they're just not. That means the whole market has to digest this big gap. Individual stocks are actually easier to trade. Now, look at this session here. This is an overnight session. That is not an excess low, the 287. So you have an overnight low, another overnight low, but with really, really no excess. That's why I'm saying that 287, it might even hit it in front of us, right in front of our faces. Okay. Now, let's get right into it. Okay, I'm going to break out this session. Okay. And we'll start off with scenarios as this keeps pushing. Boy, oh boy. Like I said, ultimate balance is why you're getting this move and balance. Ultimate balance. Okay. I always say big move happened from ultimate balance. Okay. Now, let's start off with shorts. Okay. So, this is very tricky. Okay. Now, first, let's look at the overnight inventory. We're pretty much close to 95% net short in the overnight. I've been mentioning this a lot lately because that's been happening constantly. Whenever you're overly short, that usually tends to have a correction. Okay? Because weak hands trade overnight. We are destined for 287s. I would really be shocked. Okay? But we are in demand. So what I would say is this. It's not easy. Okay? I'm not a gap and go guy at all. Okay? So what I would say is if we open somewhere here and we have not hit 287, you have to wait for some type of pop to short. Okay, so what I would say is this. If we open up here, we're not by the 287s. Right now we're at the 288s. What I would say is if we do get a bounce, and let's say the open is like, let's say here. If you cut through that open, you could short that with the stop above that. Not easy. Then you target that 287. Okay. Now below 287, I'm telling you right now, there's not much support. Look at the volume. It's almost nothing. All the way down to 284s. Do I think that could happen? It can. It can. But there's just so many earnings to come. I don't know if people want to, like I said, that's what I'm seeing here. Okay. Now, the big thing I'm looking at right now is, okay, normally if we weren't such a large gap, I'd be like, let's see if we can go back up, right, to short that. The only thing I'm seeing right now is the gap is too far away. If we go up to gap fill, this market is not weak. Okay, even the supply is so far away. Okay, that's why I'm like, usually I'd look for a nice bounce. Now, the one thing I can see here, you do have a half-hour supply. So I'll give you one. If we come into the 289s into this right here, all right, right in this area, maybe you get a rejection, lower high, same thing. You target 287s. And like I said, look, we're going for that 287 now. Like I said, this could definitely do it before the market opens. Easily. Okay? That's why I'm saying, right? I think that's all I'm going to look at right now. I don't, like right now I'm looking at it, you're too far away from meaningful supply to be like, okay, if we're up here, I mean, can it work? Yes, but it's not probable. All right, let's move on. Let's go to the longs because there is probably a long here. Okay? So it's all about the 287. What do we do when we get there? Okay? What is getting love? Money flows off the open. If nothing is, then oh boy. Okay? But if it's like we're not that weak, look at the thin volume here. We're just pushing. There's not a lot of resistance going to be in here. So here's a long. Let's say we take out the 287s, but we cannot find acceptance below 287s, and we rip back above it with a higher low. I'm going to tell you something right now. This could easily rip all this back and at least go to the 29029s, and then do you go to gap fill? The 29088s. And that could be it. And you're like, well, it bounced. Trust me, that is very doable, very viable scenario. It's the only long right now that I care about. There's not an overnight VPOC here. This is all emotional. That volume is super thin. It's emotional. Okay. Let's go to the ES and wrap up here. There's our ES. There we go. Okay. So same thing, big gaps. What do? We mark off the levels. Overnight VPOC, I'm sorry. The midpoint of the overnight, which is the 50% retracement, is 75.12s. Look, wait a minute, hold on. Sorry. 75.12s. Gap fill is 75.25s. Yesterday's lows. This is a monster gap. It is a monster. Not easy. Guess what we did? We already hit the 74.73s. We already took it out. Look at this. This is where the rubber meets the road. Right, look at that. Right here. Right here. Like I said before, we're destined for it, and we already did it. Okay. Let me see. Nasdaq hit the 287s yet? Not yet. Okay. There we go. Now, in balance, I'm going to give you balance rules real quick. This, my friend, is a look above and fail. That's very bearish. You looked above, ultimate balance, and you came back. Because we closed here. Okay. We are 100% net short as well in this overnight session. It's all shorts. Thin volume. Okay. Very important. Now, let's get into scenarios now for the ES, long and short. It's doing, it already cracked the level. So guess what happens? This demand's gone. This demand's gone. They are gone. Okay. All we have is last week's lows. That we just took out. Can this get follow through? I don't know. You're going to have to look at as if do we build volume down here or do we just start cratering? There is not much support here all the way down to 74.20s. This could get very ugly very quickly. It also could explode higher very quickly. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start with longs on this case. 74.73s. Look at this. Can you get volume here? Can you find acceptance? I don't know. So right off the bat, all I care about is if we open and we can't find acceptance below the 74.70s. If we just stay there and then whoop, you go right up to 74.73, retest 74.73, and I'm like, ooh, look at those internals. That's where internals are key. They don't go off of yesterday's close. They go off of the open. And if I see internals are not weak, take a joyride into that thin volume, right? And I would say target the 75.10s. Monster trade. That's to the midpoint of the overnights. Then go up to the overnight VPOC, which happens to be gap fill, 75.25s. Okay? There's not a VPOC down here. There's not something I can go, ooh, there's a lot of volume down here. There's not. You have single prints right here. Can we keep cratering down? Sure. That's the only long that I'm interested in right now, pre-market. Shorts. This does not make an easy short as well. Okay? It does not make an easy short. Okay? Just doesn't. So, let's look at this. I'm not a gap and go guy. Okay? So, shorts. See, you have single prints in here. That's emotional selling, right? I would tell you this. Anything in here. So, anything in between the 74 73s and the 74 90s, let's say. If you come in here and you get resistance, which you should not, boom, lower high, you target these overnight lows, which might change when the market opens, 74, 76, 74.66. See how far you can get, because it can get nasty. Now, like I said, we don't get follow through in this markets, so that's what makes me cautious. Makes me very cautious. Okay. The only other thing about a short is if we come down here open and you just start hanging out and hanging out and hanging out, and the market is weak. Well, then you could push lower. But like I said, I think the short's very hard to come by here. We're 100% net short in the overnight. I think there will be a correction to be had. Okay. Now, that is it. And we are going to just do real quick recap here. So the ES, like I said, it's all about the 74, 73. Do we accept below it? If we don't set below it, that's probably a long, because we're 100% net short. In the NASDAQ, it's all about the 287s. We did not hit that yet. We did not hit that yet. We are underneath ultimate balance, 293. Ultimate balance, 75, 45s in the ES. Okay? We're in demand. We have not taken it out yet. Why? Because Micron and other parts of the NASDAQ are still not down. Okay? That's it for me today, folks. Smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. All right? Now, subscribe, set an alert. I do this every morning, so hopefully you subscribe, set that alert. Give you the market news, the economic calendar, leaders and laggards, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long, short trade scenarios in the ES and the NASDAQ futures. If you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Now, you have our plans. I have my plan. Okay? I think a sneaky long is going to be coming. Okay? I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to try to see if my past setups that I don't get in my head that I got to fire off. But if something is there and it's worth the risk, I have to take it. Okay? I'm going to try to keep a clear mind. I really do think the short trade is the hard trade to do today. Okay? But we'll have to see what money flows tell us. We'll have to see. All right? Everybody, if I don't see you in my Discord, which I should be going live about 9:45 a.m., I hope to see you tomorrow morning. All right?